when you just shoot arrows at me for an hour. Yeah. We have 2 big keynotes. We have Jen McClain giving our starting keynote on Wednesday morning, and we have Ed Freeds who's doing our final keynote on Thursday afternoon. So,
can we have any secrets of the future and come in over?
yes, we should. So, tell him that. He might do that.
Okay.
So, yes.
Can you talk a little more about the special interest groups, like how many there are, what they generally represent?
Sure. Yeah, so the SIGs have basically, over the past couple years, some of our SIGs have sort of fallen away. Like we had stuff like a sex and games SIG and things like that. It just didn't stay very active. You know, like any group, just like the chapters, the SIGs thrive on leadership. So, I mean, you've got to keep them going. You've got to keep them motivated. I was the one who started the localization SIG, and I left it basically when I took this job. But I mean, that's one of the things I did was like get the White Paper Project going as a way to kind of motivate the community to get around something and get engaged with one another and kind of, you know, do something. So this is the list of SIGs that we technically have in existence. Some of these have been pretty dormant for some time. Others are around, but they may not be very active. You know, it just depends. And so sometimes it just takes somebody who shows up and say, well, that's my topic of interest. Who's in charge of this? And they might...
You!
Yeah. Basically, that's often how it happens. So it's like, well, somebody should be doing this SIG. Like, well, welcome aboard then. So, yeah, so the SIGs basically, though, what I see, my version, what I see for the SIGs, that to me, this is the brain trust of the IGDA, which is actually the brain trust of the industry. You've got a lot of people with incredible amounts of knowledge about these different topical areas, and I would love to see them do more with that knowledge, whether it's mentoring it, whether it's codifying it in white papers, whether it's doing some kind of other talks about it. We've got like the, who is it, the UX people who do their own little conference with GDC. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, but they basically, I mean, they're the
user experience.
Yeah, the user experience people. So they actually have had so much critical mass that they actually run their own event during GDC, and it's off-site, of course, but they've done pretty well with it, you know, because there's just so much interest in that topic. And so yeah, a lot of these, like the game education SIG, that's basically intended for educators, for people who teach game design, and then we have the learning engaged SIG, or learning education games, which is basically using games as an educational tool. And these are active SIGs. You know, they have various levels of activity depending on what they're doing. A lot of it's just the great amount of the activity in the SIGs is just conversation about their craft. What are we doing? And a lot of them they all have mailing lists. A lot of them will do like a topic of the week. Sometimes inconsistently, but they'll try and toss topics out there. Say, hey guys, you know, what do you think about this topic? Or if there's a news story that somehow pertains to that job function, they'll toss that out and say, you know, get some discussion going about it. So, I mean, I see it as a very important part of you know, what we do, because it's not just about the local discussion. I mean, it's really about the actual craft of what we're doing. And I think that's super critical. So.
You two of your people are speaking or something.
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay. I should recognize your face from our pictures, then, but I don't. Rob.
Yes.
Have we had a minute? So, and one of the things we're going to be doing with the new website that we don't have on the current site is that we're going to basically have a form of accountability for all the chapters and all the SIGs. So what we want is, and I'm not talking like public shaming, I'm talking about giving the chapters like a little space in kind of a quick overview of all the chapters and all the SIGs, so that the chapters, for example, can put up just a couple of bullet points, like what did you do the last quarter? Now they can update it however frequently they want, but we're going to request that they do it at least on a quarterly basis, so they can say, well, we did like 3 talks, and this one was a highlight, or here's a link to the video of it, or whatever they want to do, just to try to show us that that they're active, but it's not for our benefit, it's for the whole community. Because I mean, we get asked a lot, like, I wonder, people are like, I wonder what's going on in IGA Seattle. It's like, I'll go ask Kate, because she's there, and it's like, well, don't ask me, because I don't have time to answer. I mean, I will, but, if they could just go to the grid and kind of see what's going on. And that's, so we're going to be doing that with both chapters and SIGs in the near future. So people will just get a quick view and understand what's going on. Because one of the things too is as many of us travel for conferences or whatnot, I know a lot of times people will come, go to a certain city and they're like, they just want to know what's going on in the IGA in this particular town. Because that's one of the neat things too, is you kind of have this instant camaraderie. I've done it many times, even before I had this job, is I would go to a certain city and just show up at the IGA meeting. And you just have an instant report. It's like, well, yeah, I'm from IGDA Seattle. Oh, welcome aboard. How are you doing? So it's kind of cool that way. So it kind of gives you that instant family feeling. So any other questions?
Any other questions, guys? Chance.
I have one more.
Yeah.
You probably will hear in a couple days, so you probably already have an answer prepped. The GDC party.
Yep.
And the changes that are coming because of that.
Yes.
What
the changes that have happened?
Yes. Could you give us an update on that?
Yeah. So basically, the GDC party was an example of when not to partner.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, to put it in a nutshell, the IGA has had a party at GDC for years, and this year, basically the decision was to partner because we did have a sponsor to run our own event, and the sponsor pulled out at the last minute. No fault of theirs. They just, a lot of times sponsors do that because their marketing plans change, because their production plans changed. So they said, we don't want to spend this marketing money now, we'll do it later in the year. So they pulled out their money, which basically gave the organization very limited opportunity to throw something together in a very short amount of time. And so we had already been approached by Yedison to partner with them at their event. And they said, well, what if we just, kind of add your name to it and it becomes the IGA Yedison party? And we had many calls about it, about content controls and things of that nature. And we thought we had an understanding of the way it was going to be run. And unfortunately, it did not get run the way we fully expected. And so we learned a brutal lesson, basically, and that's, I think I said that in my statement, my blog post shortly after that, is that we're going to be even more judicious about how we partner. And so, I said, and honestly, and I was adamant about this even when I came on board before the whole GDC thing was even on my radar, but I don't think a party is really what we need to do. I mean, it's fine if, I know chapters do parties, that's fine, I don't care, but as a central organization, we exist for networking, and that's one of the things I heard a lot of people say, is especially about the GDC event, they're like, I thought it was going to be more about networking, because if you ever went to the ones at GDC in the past, except for last year, that was kind of more noisy, but most of the previous years, it was just like they did it one year in the Westin Ballroom, where there's just people milling around and exchanging cards and talking, and so that's why I said for IGA Central, we're going to do networking events. We did one at E3. It was very successful. We got a lot of great feedback about it. Had a great atmosphere. Lots of people showed up. And we even had Razer, who was one of our sponsors, come in and demoed like their recent laptop and all that stuff. It went really well. And they gave away they brought like 200 of their Naga mice and gave those away. So it was kind of cool. So it went really well. So yeah, so that's kind of the model we're following moving forward. But I've had chapters ask me, does that mean we can't do a party? I said, no, you can do one, but I still expect you to still be tasteful about it. So, yeah, that's where that is.
So do you have plans for what you're going to do next year? Is it going to be just like a networking event, or?
Actually, we had tossed around the idea of, someone had suggested kind of off the cuff, they said, what if we did like a networking event that's like an ice cream social thing? And I was just like, that sounds so good right now. And so I've actually already reached out to like Ghirardelli, because I thought they might be interested in having to sponsor this, because they're local. So I don't know where that is. It's kind of still pending. So we'll see. But that's kind of the direction I'm hoping to head in. It still sounds dumb to me.
So, I mean, the root of that issue was just kind of the objectification of women.
Yep.
It's not specifically in the games industry, not even in the games industry.
Right, yeah.
I think I remember you saying that you were going to set up a, like, I don't know if it was a special interest group or some kind of a peer group.
Exactly.
Did that ever happen?
We're working on it right now. In fact, at the summit, we're having a meeting about it. Yeah, right there, event guidance working session. Yeah.
I would be there.
Good. Yeah, so I mean, we've been trying to get that going. You know, we've had a lot of events to do since GDC, but yeah, that's something that we're going to put together. I don't think it needs to be grandiose or over. I mean, I think even just a few basic guidelines is what we need.
Well, so little insight. Your statement after that is what prompted me to get a lifetime membership to IGDA. It wasn't meant before.
Awesome.
And it was just like, because you kind of put it back on everyone else too, is that you don't have, a ton of help and support, it's a volunteer organization.
Right.
And people are just so quick to, even say these things, to basically so quick to point the blame, but not actually help out and do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, screw it. I'm just going to
thank
join
you.
and try and help. And
Thank you.
So I think that's good. And I think it's a serious issue in our industry.
It is. So. It is. Well, I know. I mean, if you've been following like the Phil Fish thing over the last week or so, I mean, I think some of his comments, though, I kind of resonated with me about sort of this extremely cannibalistic nature of our industry, whether it's in the media sphere or just in general. And it's just like, I don't know if I fully understand why that is. Because I know people who work in other creative industries, and it just, there's criticism and all that, and it just happens in any industry, but it's just kind of the vitriol that comes with ours is just amazing.
It's happening in conferences in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
Just gender issues and harassment, sexual harassment at conferences and other fields. And so it's just interesting sort of happening at different levels.
Well, it is.
All coming together.
Well,
identifying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not just the game industry. I mean, I was at Comic-Con 2 weeks ago, and it was rampant there. It was a whole another issue. So, cool. Which is why I dressed as Thor. People in line. So.
Anything else, guys?
So I'm just kind of curious, with all the different, since you go visit all the different chapters and stuff, and they do lots of different types of events, what's the most popular type of event you see happening the most, outside of mingling events? Like, what's the thing you see happening a lot?
Like at the chapter level?
Yeah, like what type of event have you seen that's done the most, that brings the most people together?
Most of the time, it's either any kind of free beer, food, which is kind of guaranteed to get a good turnout. But oftentimes doing that though with a speaker, So and obviously, the more notable the person, the bigger the crowd, So that tends to be the way it goes. I mean, in IGDA Seattle, we have been very fortunate in that we have a good partnership with Bungie. So like Bungie has let us use their theater to host a lot of our talks. That's on the east side, because we have an east side, west side thing in Seattle because of Lake Washington, which is this huge pool in the middle of everything. So on the east side, we use Bungie most often. They've been super good hosts to us. They've been awesome partners. Plus the fact when you go into Bungie to go to the theater, you're walking past all of this amazing Halo stuff and props from that Weta made from the movie that never got made, and all this. And people are just like jaw-dropping at all this cool stuff. So I think that's part of the draw. It's just kind of the oogling factor. But so that's been really fortunate for us. But we've had people, we just draw from the local community. Like we've had, designers. Like we actually had designers from 343 environmental artists come to Bungie and give a talk about Halo 4's environmental art, and that was extremely popular. And the funny thing is we got a lot of Bungie people come down and watch it because they're friends, they all used to work together. So, beginning that kind of thing, we've had talks at PopCap, as let us do talks at PopCap before, and then we had we had an audio engineer at PopCap do a really great talk, and so it just just depends. We try and mix it up, as much as we can. You can't make everyone happy, but I mean, obviously any at least in our experience, any indie-related topic is just inundated with people.
Yeah.
So like we had the people from Valve come and talk about Greenlight, and it was just like standing room only. The room was so packed with people. You know, we've had other things like Dave Every and Tom Boscali and some others talked about like their experiences with Spybox and IP control and the legal issues